Maybe you should go and do some contemplating.
Right reason, right reason. Can't be a girl for all the right reasons. Right reason, right reasons. Can't be a girl for all the reasons.
I'm the Bachelorette, and I'm rapping to you poolside. Here to find true love.
Hi, this is Rachel McElroy.
Hi, this is Griffin McElroy.
And this is Rose Buddies.
Oh, yes, y'all. Feeling fucking fresh as heck right now. I'm feeling like I just ran a half marathon when I was planning on running a marathon. I feel like I have my whole night ahead of me. I'm going to eat some Girl Scout cookies when we're done recording this, because we're going to finish recording this, and we're still going to have a little bit of night left to party. I'm feeling so good right now. Why can't this show always be 60 minutes runtime forever, please? Please?
I admit that I liked having a shorter episode, but
I guess the one was, yeah.
Not a lot happened.
Nothing happened was the only thing. This is going to be probably a 14-minute long episode of Rose Buddies.
You always say that, and we always make it last.
Well, I don't know that we've ever talked about an episode where only like 3 things happened the whole time. I mean, I guess we could fill. Let's do a little bit of filler.
Yeah.
Let's start over. Hi, I'm Griffin McElroy.
Hi, I'm Rachel McElroy.
The Oscars. Can you even believe it? A lot of the stars were out there, and can you believe what all of them wore? Like, together? It was, there's, a lot of people made a lot of bold choices. And
saw a lot of dresses.
A lot of dresses and a whole bunch of suits. So, I guess we can all agree that, like, everybody did really well. Nobody stood out as doing, like, a particularly bad job.
Seemed like for every category.
Yeah.
Somebody got an award.
Somebody did get an award. One time they gave an award to 2 people, and I was like, that's unique, but I had a much more fun time watching it. So, and then I didn't.
You want to talk about the show?
Yeah, it's really the only thing I have in my life right now. We can talk about Elijah Wood was up on Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
We watched that clip of Elijah Wood talking about his friendship with Nick, the Bachelor, and this did require me to be exposed to Jimmy Fallon, and I feel like I need to like scan myself with a fucking Geiger counter every time that interaction takes place, just to make sure that I haven't been permanently irradiated with his with sort of his brand.
What do you have against Jimmy Fallon?
He makes me uncomfortable to watch him do his craft, and that might be kind of judgy to say, but I just don't enjoy. I don't really like it. I think like
you know
thing.
What? He has fun out there.
Maybe a little too much fun. Like, maybe sometimes you watch him and you're like, maybe less games for a minute. And, like, I'm happy for him, but, you know, just less games. I thought James Kimmel did a pretty... We talk about James Kimmel a lot on this show because he's such a figure for ABC in the Bachelor franchise. I thought he did a pretty dang good job for Oscars. A few of his jokes were a little rote, and at least 1 or 2 of them had been done before at the Oscars. But I thought he did okay.
Griffin, you were taking a sharp eye on America's late night men.
Of my favorite late night Jimmys? Yeah, I agree. First of all, that's a weird thing, right? Like, do they all have to be Jimmy? But he handled Warren Beatty's whole fuck up in a really, like, classy way, I thought. You know? When they got up there and started playing fucking Calvin Ball with the Academy.
I was asleep already.
You were asleep, yes. But it was buck wild. What are you looking at? You looking at my big toe? To explain to everybody, you've been staring at my big toe intently for like a minute now.
Griffin has these MeUndies lounge pants.
They're fucking excellent, worth every penny.
And he is looping it around his large toe.
I'm doing it like stirrups. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm doing it like they're dance pants or something like that you wear at ballet.
Boys didn't wear stirrup pants in the 80s like girls did.
No, we saved them for the 90s. See, and just like that, nothing happened in this episode. We just got 4 good minutes talking about bullshit, famous Jimmys, and really that's it.
Seems kind of unfair to the listeners because
I guess we'll have about 20 minutes at the back end talking about the elusive women's orgasm.
Yeah, I'm ready for that.
The elusive pleasure of women's.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk all about that. I'm really excited
to dive deep.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's what
I think that if you're candid enough, I'll really open up in this conversation.
I'll be as candid as Raven was, which means pretty fucking candid on national TV. Raven, go get it. Go get it.
Go get it,
Go
Raven.
get that. Go get that gasm. I say. This is going to be a wild but short episode. You looked uncomfortable when I said go get that gasm. You can at least appreciate the alliteration.
No, it's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. It's a lot of that on the back end of the episode.
I really wish
You've made so many faces. I wish I could record you.
I really wish you'd stay away from the back end.
Oh. Oh, we are children. We are children.
Okay, can we talk about the show?
We have been.
No.
Well, out of order a little bit, Memento style.
Okay, so last week, as you'll recall, we did hometowns. And at the
It was
end of
good.
hometowns, Nick and the ladies go to New York, and we get the cliffhanger of knock at the door, it's Andi, and she's got something to say.
I was critical because I thought that this was going to be nothing, and it did turn out to be nothing. Like, the conflict or whatever turned out to be nothing. But I actually really liked this conversation that the two of them had, and it kind of reminded me that, like, back in the day, I liked Andi a lot.
Yeah.
Andi was, like, really real and very fierce in a way that I completely had forgotten about. Maybe I just forgot about it because she ended up with such a fucking zero.
Yeah.
But I mean, the boy crop was, the fields went fallow that year. It was a bad harvest.
Yeah, she is very authentic, which is something that I think Nick really liked about her.
It's what America liked about her.
That's what America liked about her. She shows up, and Nick seems a little uncomfortable. It's like, what are you doing here? And offers her whiskey or wine. And she says, I think we're going to need whiskey for this conversation.
Which you did. You did. You could have been fine with a fucking LaCroix for this conversation, but...
But yeah, then she basically does what we expect her to do, which is like, how's it going? You know, tell me about the women. And he's like, oh, we have a lot of strong women this season, really strong-headed. And she's like, oh, and they still stuck around?
Good burn.
That was funny. And then Nick kind of talks about how he's been kind of insecure as the Bachelor, and he's you know, kind of appreciates what she went through now that he's been on this side of it.
I think we need to take a brief aside because I wasn't in the live feed convo happening in the Facebook group, which just hit 10,000 members. Thank you all so much. That's so radical. A lot of folks don't know who Andi is from Adam. So can we give like a quick breakdown? She was the Bachelorette 3 Bachelorettes ago. And
before that, she was on the dreaded Juan Pablo's season.
I thought Juan Pablo was on her season. No, you're right. She was on Juan Pablo's season.
She was on Juan Pablo's season. She left.
She bailed because they went to fantasy suites and...
Did not go well.
Apparently, it was just like he was really self-obsessed the entire time. It was one of the wilder fantasy suite sequences because it was them going on this date, and Juan Pablo sucked. Like, there was never a good scene that had that dude in it, but, like, you didn't think anything was, anything was afoot. There was anything like really bad going on. And then like after a commercial break, it cuts to like Andi walking on the beach by herself, and she's like, so last night fucking sucked, and I'm gonna leave the show because this guy is a huge tool.
And that was where the famous Juan Pablo quote came in, where she was complaining to him kind of about her issues with their relationship. And he kept saying, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Which is where her book came from, which is it's not okay.
Not okay. The title of her book also comes from the fact that she got engaged to Josh, who was hugely...
Yeah, so America fell in love with her. She became the Bachelorette, and then she picked Josh on a season where Nick was also a contestant.
So Nick was the runner-up in that season, and... Again, bad crop of boys. To let you, Josh, you will remember from this last season of Bachelor in Paradise, if it came down to Nick and Josh, you knew the boys that they beat out probably were not so awesome. And so, but the big like confrontation that happened between Nick and Andi didn't happen during the show proper. It was on the after the final rose. Andi had just picked Josh, and so we're in the after show, and we get one last sort of chance for Nick to face Andi, and Nick says, we had sex in the fantasy suites. Why would you do that with me.
It's a paraphrase.
If you knew, yes, but not that.
Yeah.
I'm not cutting out that much. Why would you do that if you knew you weren't going to pick me? And it was that sucks, right? Like across the board, that's a fucking shitty thing to say. And it was. It was the thing that I feel like they've been trying to redeem Nick with the good edits during this season and during Bachelor in Paradise, and now we get that conversation to happen like right now in this room, which to a degree that I didn't really expect.
Yeah, I feel like the producers kind of decided we're getting to the end. If America's really going to be happy for Nick, they have to forgive him for all his dalliances.
Yeah, I definitely think, right? Because you can't have this dude who famously went on the after show and said, why did you have sex with more than one person during the fantasy suites if you knew you were going to pick this one guy, and then have that person go ahead, like turn around and do the same thing on their own season of The Bachelor. I definitely think there was some to it, but it was also it was a really like, and maybe this was just because it was Andi, but it was a really like very real and very and you may not like appreciate this if you haven't watched as much of the show as I have, but I feel like for the tenor of this franchise, it was a very sex positive conversation.
Yeah, and Andi really takes the lead on it. You know, I think Andi asks him about the fantasy suite, and he says, you know, that he's not sure what he's going to do. And she says, hey, you know, you've been to their homes. You know, if you have feelings for them, you know, I think it's worth exploring.
If you are both feeling it.
If you're both feeling it. And she said, you know, that's my feminist rant.
Yeah. She says if you don't see a future with them, if you don't think that anything's going to happen between the two of you, that's when you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
That's when you shouldn't go into the fantasy suite and be intimate.
Yeah, and they recognize kind of the irony of this conversation given what happened. And he says that it's his single biggest regret that things went down the way they did after the final rose. And she accepts his apology. And she says, you know, I recognize that I hurt you and that you were just trying to hurt me back.
That doesn't track. Like, okay, fine. But, like, he fucking lost a game show and then, like, slut shamed you on national television. I don't think it's a tit for tat situation. But it was a very mature conversation, and one that... Fantasy suites are so fucking interesting, and I feel like we have to talk about this every Fantasy Suites episode. And guess what? We're going to talk about it next week too, because for some like bonkers reason they've split it up. By the way, next week's episode is going to be 3 hours long. How's your fucking like podcast recording session next week? That's going to end at 1 a.m. with your baby crying in the next room. Pretty bad. Thank you, past Griffin and Rachel. Fantasy Suites is this episode of television on ABC where people contractually are offered the chance to have sex with each other, and I feel like we gotta say that, we gotta like address that every time. It's kind of wild. This is a television show where it's a reality show where there is time penciled into the fucking Google Calendar for them to, if they choose to accept it, have sexual intercourse with each other in bed.
And also you're agreeing to the franchise of kind of like doing all this suggestive camera work and angles and
captions of like squishing noises.
Yeah, exactly. Slurping.
Female orgasm sounds, whatever that is.
And then like shoes on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, like hair tie on the nightstand.
Bathrobes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing we didn't say, and I want to make sure we say it because I think it might be significant, or maybe not. But when Nick is talking to Andi, and talking about, oh, now I'm on this side of it, and this is what it's like being in charge. Andy's like, yeah, well, now you get to break up with 29 women. And Nick says, well, maybe 30. You know, I'm not just going to propose because I'm the Bachelor.
And I'm not going to propose just because she's the last one standing.
Yeah.
Which is like, everybody always has that option, but it's weird for you to like...
Fun little poke.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like it was a very... even if it was staged, it was the type of conversation that you at least have to appreciate does not happen very often on this show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a little contrived to have her show up and be like, hey, let's squash all of these potential, outliers that we have in our relationship right now before you go off to fantasy suites. But she lives in New York. He was in New York.
I mean, whatever. They would have flown her out. I feel bad that people don't know who Andi is, because I saw a lot of people commenting like, "This is boring," and I was rapt. Yeah. I was glued to the screen.
There are a lot of similarities between Andi and Rachel, in that Andi is also an attorney.
And there they end. Let's get to that ceremony.
Okay, so now it's time for the rose ceremony. Nick leads us to believe that he has left these women standing outside the entire time.
Oh, and then the commercial break before we get a commercial break after Andy's thing and before the rose ceremony, and it shows fucking Raven going on a date, and it's like, so I guess Raven's going on through, huh?
Yeah, it's like coming up on The Bachelor, and then it shows Raven, and so Raven gets the rose.
Okay, all right.
So Raven gets the rose.
And she does. She gets first rose.
First rose. And you're thinking, okay, Vanessa's probably going to get a rose, and she does. But then it's down to...
No. Rachel gets the second fucking rose.
I know. I'm just saying, when we were playing this out in our head and figuring out who was going to get roses...
We thought
we were pretty
Vanessa
confident.
And Raven, definitely. And then it's either Rachel or Corn. And then Rachel goes home because we know she doesn't win the show.
Yeah.
We've known for 2 weeks now.
I mean, if you think about it, we know that she's the Bachelorette. That is all we know. She could win the show.
How
many times does the couple break up by the time they do?
Yeah, I guess so.
Final rose.
There's no way, though. That would be so buck fucking wild.
I know. It would. It'd almost be like they were sitting around waiting for them to break up so they could announce her as the Bachelorette.
Yeah.
So Corinne goes home.
Corinne does go home. And
she's it's kind of a mix of emotions.
It's weird, her emotional mix.
She's very sad at first, and there's lots of crying.
But then she's also smiling quite a bit.
I think there is some plying that happens in the limo, because she's very upset and she gets in the limo.
There's a lot of Korn doing Korn role play in the limo, like Korn's greatest hits. She's got a glass of champagne and she has this like self-love awakening. Like that.
I think this is like after she'd been in the limo for like 25 minutes.
And they've been like just doing laps.
They've been like plying her with some booze.
She does a lot of like, I've got to find I'm done like going after the man who I have to,
I'm
kiss
done
his
like
boots
trying to like worship these men. And it's, if they're really interested in me, they need to come to me.
Which is great. Good. Yes, excellent. I hope that everybody leaves this show with that as their fucking home version parting gift. Is I'll never do this again. But then she says, "Oh, forget this. I'm gonna take a nap." And then she just kind of like leans her head up against the window, but like still sitting up, and pretends to fall asleep. And it's like, oh, that's like what a little kid does when they pretend to go to sleep. Like. I hope that's not too insulting to Korn, who I appreciate.
I have a lot of affection for her.
Yes, she is problematic as heck a lot of the time, but like, gosh darn it, like I don't think she deserved the edit that she got. I don't think she could pull off the edit that she got. And I think a way more interesting edit is just like Korn the goofball, but we didn't get a whole lot of that.
Yeah, one thing she says is kind of sad is when she's leaving, they're walking down this very long staircase. And Corinne says, "I'm sorry if I did anything to make you upset," which is like the saddest reaction
really rough. It's
to
really
not
sad.
being picked.
It was a genuinely, just behind Christina. It was the like most like genuinely kind of difficult to watch send home of the season, because you got to feel. I feel so bad for Korn, because it's hard to feel like, she wasn't taken advantage of by, like, she was very entertaining, and I think she knew that, and I think the producers definitely knew that, but I also think like the producers are more than willing to like fucking squeeze every fucking drop out of Korn that they could get their hands on.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to hope that she had fun. Like, the only way this works for me is if she genuinely had fun while she was doing it.
I'll tell you where she's going to have fun. And you made this excellent point of she hopped in the limo and she may as well have just been like, driver.
Take me to paradise.
Take me to Quintana Roo, please.
Yes. Yeah, she has got to be on paradise.
She'll be on BIP. I think we actually have confirmation she's on BIP. We also have, unfortunately, we have confirmation that Rod is on BIP, and they apparently have some sort of level of interaction, which, yeah, it's gonna fucking suck. Here's where I'm at. It stinks, and, like, I genuinely had the thought of, like, do I even want to watch this show with this fucking dickhead on it? But I also, there's a part of me that is, and maybe this is just sort of making excuses and justifying it, but I kind of want that, I don't want that dipshit to steal my sunshine, because I do enjoy that show. It's my favorite thing in Bachelor, and we do this Bachelor podcast, and I feel like I've earned this fucking vacation, even though this piece of garbage is on the show.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do, because I think we have to cover it, but I there's got to be a way to do it that won't be so upsetting.
So Rod-centric.
So I think Nick is kind of ready to send her home.
Yeah.
Because the next scene is him getting ready to go to Finland in the airport, and the voiceover is just like, I just never really got as far with Corinne as I got with my other relationships. Like, it just seemed like...
Also, it wasn't that hard. You made it seem hard. It doesn't sound hard.
Yeah. And so they're going to Finland, which we never see the big, like, toast, we're going to Finland, yay, moment. We just see him at the airport and we know they're going. And we get to see Nick in first class, just pondering.
Had the thought, and I posed it to you. There's only 3 women left. You think they get first class treatment?
I do not.
That's a shame.
I do not.
Just let him have it. Although international, that is an arm and a leg.
Griffin flew first class for the first time.
First time to the Mavim Band premiere. And it was pretty good. I watched Don't Breathe, a little spooky horror movie on the plane.
And you told me you had some fresh fruit?
I had a bowl of fresh fruit and a cinnamon roll and some yogurt with granola, is what they called it.
This was a flight to New York.
It's a Polynesian dish, granola, and you put it in the yogurt, and you eat your pineapple and your strawberry. And
I've
you
never
watch your
flown
spooky
first
horror
class
movie.
before.
I hadn't either. I probably never will again, but it was pretty cool.
Did they give you a warm towel?
They did, yeah.
Oh,
and I
that's nice.
didn't know what to do with it. I washed the inside of my mouth with it. I tucked it in there and I scrubbed like vigorously.
You wiped down the seat.
I wiped down the seat like to get my own fucking slime off of it. I'm sorry. Somebody actually walked up to me and they're like, "You're second class." I actually like fucking. Nothing drives me crazier than like people getting on an airplane and like not understanding how groups and shit work. And this isn't just like first class Griffin talking. This is group 4 Griffin talking, where it's like, I see my group 4 buddies and it's like platinum diamond vice presidents can board the plane now. My group 4 buddies are like, here I come. I'm going to stand right in the middle of everything, right in the way. They called for first class and I was like, here I come. And there was this just fucking old dude that was like standing in front of the premium lane, like blocking the whole shit. And I was like, oh, excuse me. And he was like, oh, they're boarding first class right now. And I was like,
oh, Griffin.
yeah, well, I was wearing a hoodie, I guess. But I was like, whatever, Zuckerberg, you know, he wears hoodies all the time. He's probably flies 0th class. But I was like, oh, I'm sorry, bud. It was a very like Pretty Woman moment. You know, I snapped the necklace thing on his fingers, and he was like, oh, ah! And he laughed.
Wait, in that situation, he's Pretty Woman.
We were both Pretty Women.
Okay. I love that book.
I didn't feel the superiority of just like...
I love that book.
Which book?
Pretty Women.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Louise May Alcott, you know?
Yeah, it's a great one. I didn't feel this superiority when I put that man in his place. I mostly just felt like very embarrassed. He was like a fucking quarterback, like a linebacker, just like, you're not getting through here. And I was like, look. He's like, you have money? I was like, well, no, but I made a TV show, so I get this one.
And what about the food on airplanes, right?
I got fresh fruit, and you can't fuck up pineapple. You just can't. You just can't fuck up a strawberry. And
those little peanuts in the bag are so hard to open.
They are. I'm so proud of you. What do you call this jokes?
I'm working on my type 5.
It's a very tight 5. Uh-huh. By which I mean there's about 4 seconds. An extremely tight 5 minutes.
There's about 4 minutes of me miming trying to open peanuts. That's what takes up the time.
That's actually some really next level shit.
Thank you.
You bust that out of Bomb Shelter, I would love that.
I don't want to get into what Bomb Shelter is. We're doing a lot of tangents here.
There's nothing to talk about. They go into a bar and they play darts, and then she says, "I've never nutted," and he's like, and then the fucking credits rolled. That's it. Thanks for listening to Rose Buddies. We'll see you next week. Bye. That's it.
Well, people like the journey.
I just did a fucking rocket ship through the journey. I just went through the Stargate to the destination. Here we are.
Okay, so we're in Finland. There's only a few hours of sunlight a day.
Now they're connecting the dots. They're like, how are we going to get to her talking about not nutting? Hurry, Rachel, hurry. I'm breathless with anticipation.
And Nick is talking about how he's concerned where Raven's heart is because she hasn't said that she's in love with him.
Neither has Rachel, which this is a lot. The 2/3 of the women have not said it. And the 1/3 who did say it, he was like, well, I've had a lot of lovers.
Yeah. Well, and poor Vanessa is kind of falling apart under the pressure.
I know.
She is having a tough time. But we don't spend any time with her this episode. It is all about Raven.
Which I am happy about because, man, I fucking love
like Raven.
She is so good.
We like Raven a lot.
I made the point, and I can't stop thinking about this. If this was any other season, it would be the Raven show. This was like such a strong crew of women that it's I feel like Raven has kind of taken a bit of a backseat. I think she's had she's really stood out in all the stuff she's done. She just hasn't had much time to shine, and I feel like I have not exactly been rooting for her. But fucking in Ben Higgins' season, are you kidding me? I would have lost my mind for Raven.
Yeah.
She is so good.
She's very good. Mostly because she just
says shit. She just says the stuff that comes to her mind.
She's not concerned with the narrative of the show.
Yeah.
Which is nice to watch. So they're in a helicopter. And this is where we find out as the viewer that she has never told anyone that she's loved them before.
Yes. She's only, I guess, had one serious boyfriend.
She's a 25-year-old woman. She's only had one serious relationship.
They dated for 2 years and didn't say it, which that seems...
Well, he said it when he was drunk.
Yeah, which that sucks.
Yeah, and she never did because she didn't entirely trust him. So they're having a nice time. They go to I don't know why I said that.
They're not being mean to each other and not pulling mean pranks on each other. And
nothing happens on this date.
They don't bully each other or anything.
They go from the helicopter to a bar where they play darts.
Oh God, baby.
Nick is terrible at darts.
They're both not great. But
she is better than Nick.
I think we should talk more about the darts after we need to go to the money zone.
We do not call it the money zone.
What do we call it?
I say Griffin.
Yeah, but we have to have a name for we have to have a noun for this.
Well, I don't want to call it the same thing you call it on your other show.
Oh, we need a little exclusive.
We were going to call it
The Fantasy Suite might be good.
That's confusing for this episode though.
Who gives a shit?
Hey Griffin.
Hey.
Can I steal you away?
Good, just a classic movement of Tim Allen's fourth concerto.
What was his third concerto?
It was Jungle to Jungle. Do you want to talk about Blue Apron or should I?
I do. I want to talk about Blue Apron. So our sponsor this week, again, is old favorite, yours and mine. It's Blue Apron.
Did we do this last week?
Yeah.
Oh,
we did last week. So Blue Apron is a real friend of the McElroy family, in that all McElroys use it. It is a box of ingredients that come each week with perfectly pre-proportioned.
It's tough, right?
Ingredients.
But it's just pre-portioned, not pre-proportioned. See? It's tough.
Well, no, I'm not even reading it. It's just what Justin always says.
Well, he's a goober, and you know that about. I love him. He's my brother, but he's a goobus to the maximum.
And it's enough food to put together 3 meals And
For 2 people each.
yeah, and you can set some preferences around whether you'd want, for example, a vegetarian option or not.
Let me tell you can I tell you about some of the upcoming meals that you and I have coming potentially this week?
Yes.
This is food. These are dinners we're going to be eating later this week. I'm talking about salmon piccata with orzo and broccoli, pork chops and miso butter with bok choy and marinated apple. You probably can't eat that one. Miso, right? You can't have... Miso has soy in it.
I don't know if it does or not.
Dang it. Vegetable chili and baked sweet potatoes with crispy tortilla strips. Spicy shrimp coconut curry with cabbage and rice. Fuck yeah, that one's going to be good. They're so good, and we do them like 3 times a week because we get 3 meals a week, and we take turns cooking dinner for each other, and it turns out really fucking good. What was the thing we just made? The stew, the beef and lamb stew with
that was really good.
Roasted potatoes on top. Holy shit, it was exceptionally good.
It was really good.
And you can pick what you want based on your dietary preferences.
What's the coupon code?
Well, if you can check out this week's menu and you can get your first 3 meals for free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/rose. That's blueapron.com/rose. You're going to love it. We love it. It's fucking great. We've used it for like 8 months or something. It's awesome. Go check it out.
I want to read a Jumbotron. This is a message for Lauren. This is from Philip. Happy Valentine's Day.
Ooh, it's our baby. You're getting your first taste
Whoops.
of disappointment.
Okay, sorry, Lauren. Happy Valentine's Day to my super smart and strong wife. We've been through so much over the past 8 or so years, and being married to you over the past 4 months has been a delight. I really enjoy our time together watching the Bachelor series of products, TM. It actually says TM. And being able to reminisce over episodes of Rose Buddies. Forever and always yours, Philip.
That is a really sweet message that we totally screwed the pooch on.
Hey, sorry, Philip. We had a lot come in there.
Happy Love Day. Happy Love Day. Gather around the podcast machine with me. Let's listen to the special message.
I believe strongly that you and Lauren have survived this late message.
What, 2 weeks? Their relationship lasted another 14 days? I should hope so. I have another message here, and it's for Daniel, and it's from Brendan. Thanks for introducing me to my new favorite 2 hours of beautiful dumpster fire television. See you next Tuesday for some good cucumber snacks. Have we figured out sort of the preparation of what cucumber snack is?
In the package for Corinne,
Yeah.
it looked like it was just sliced
I
cucumber.
think it's just sliced a cucumber.
But I mean, there are like real cucumber salads that you can have that actually have other ingredients.
I don't doubt that. I would never doubt that. But I think a cucumber snack is just when you cut up a cucumber. In which case, if you slice up an apple, is that an apple snack?
I think so. What about a pudding snack pack?
Again, another great question. Is a cucumber snack just sort of like a cucumber that you cut up and then you put in
What? What'd you say?
What did I say?
It sounded like you said cucumber.
Did I say that?
A little bit.
Well, I've had one beer, so...
And a glass of wine.
Uh-oh. Mardi Gras.
The Dead Pilot Society podcast brings you hilarious comedy pilots that were never made, featuring actors like Aubrey Plaza, Andy Richter, Paul F. Tompkins, John Hodgman, Adam Scott, Molly Shannon, Busy Phillips, Tom Lennon, Anna Camp, Laurie Metcalf, Felicia Day, Michael Ian Black, Adam Savage, Paul Scheer, Ben Schwartz, Skylar Aston, Mae Whitman, Josh Molina, Ben Feldman, Nicole Byer, Jason Ritter, Sarah Chalk, Steve Agee, Jane Levy, Allison Tolman, Danielle Nicolette, Casey Wilson, Anna Ortiz, Lorraine Newman, June Diane Raphael, Kieran Shipka, Ed Week, Zach Knight, and Carrie Kenny Silver, John Ross Bowie, Jamie Denbo, Janet Varney, Alessandra Torres, Summer, Ellie Morales, Matt Gordon, and many more. Listen at MaximumFun.org, iTunes, or wherever you download podcasts.
All right, let's get down to that nasty business.
There's nothing nasty.
That dirty, dirty stuff.
There isn't anything nasty or dirty about female pleasure.
Nothing nasty about that at all. I agree.
Okay, so...
Beautiful stuff. Clean.
All right.
Well, which is it?
All right.
Is it clean or is it nasty? Help me out here.
It just is, Griffin.
It just is. That's beautiful, baby.
Thank you.
Dr. Ruth, Sex Just Is. Her famous book. Welcome to Love Line. Sex Just Is.
So Nick tells us, the viewer, that he loves Raven's wonderful, edgy craziness.
Stop it. It's so much... It was funny then, and it's funnier to hear you retell it.
That is the perfect combination of salty and sweet.
You look like those words just kind of just grumbled out of your mouth like barf. Like
It's like a Reese's peanut butter
It
cup.
looked like it actually hurt you to say those words out loud, to have them come out of you. It's
like a Nutrageous candy bar.
It's just like a 100 grand. It's just not. It's not. Raven's awesome. We're all Team Raven here. It's also not true about her. I don't know that I would ever call her outrageously cheesy, or what was it? Extremely edgy, hilariously edgy. What was it?
Wonderful edgy craziness.
Wonderful edgy craziness to this young woman. No, she's very sweet and she's very funny and she's very real, but she's not an edgelord. Yeah,
no, I wouldn't describe her as edgy at all.
No, fucking Richard Pryor is edgy. Raven's folksy.
So they're playing darts and then they're having some drinks. Nick is talking about how he likes a woman with big personality. And then they have an adorable conversation about how she can't cook. And he hates folding clothes. But he's really good at ironing. And then they talk a lot about whether or not steaming clothes is as productive as ironing. And it's just like a nice little moment.
It was really cute. He was like, no, you got to get the crease. And she was like, you can't crease your pants. It was really sweet and very cute. And the conversations of that caliber, I feel like, have been kind of in short supply this season. Like conversations that you might actually have with somebody who you were dating. It was really cute. Also, Team Steam for life, right? Like, I think if you're the type of person that's okay with steaming your clothes, you are also the type of person that's not ever going to put in the effort to iron them. So really, it's steaming them or nothing.
Griffin and I don't iron ever.
Fuck no.
I have wrinkly items in my closet that I just have decided to stop wearing.
I used an iron really for the first time to hem some curtains for the nursery. And the whole time I was doing it, I was like, wow, this thing really puts a fucking crease in this fabric, huh? As if somebody else, like some observer, if they watched me, they'd be like, yeah, dog, that's why they do. That's why people do this. The whole time I was like, this is folded as fuck. Like, this is not going to come unfolded anytime soon. And it's like, yeah, bud, that is why you iron.
We do. We have an iron, but we use it, gosh, I don't know, once every 6 months.
Yeah. Even that seems... all of our friends are married. Full stop. Most of our friends are married.
No, that's not even true.
Most of our friends are married. Partial stop. And so we just aren't going to weddings every month anymore. There was a year there where we certainly were, and it was like time to break out the khaki crease.
Some people would iron their clothes before they went to work.
No, come on. At the White House, Mr. President Obama? No.
I will say that I do have pants that I would potentially iron, but I get them dry cleaned instead.
That's a good look. You got that podcast money now. It's somebody else's problem. Fly away, little bird. Come back to me. Creased. I should do that. I've got that podcast money for days. I should just
What would you
clean
get dry cleaned?
The shirt I'm wearing now says it's
your Griddlebone shirt?
My Austin Brewing Company fucking Austin Beer Works Griddlebone shirt. It's a good IPA.
Griffin.
What is it? It's an IPA.
Griffin bought that shirt because he had a dream that people would start calling him Griddlebone.
It's a brand of beer from the Austin Beer Works. It's good. It's called Griddlebone. I drank it once. It tasted good. It's an IPA, and it's a purple shirt and it says Griddlebone on it. And I thought, it sounds like Griffin. It's a cool name. Call me Griddlebone. And now that I've said it on the pocket, that was the secret. I tried to get our dumb friends to call me that, but no. I need my real friends. My internet friends.
Your 10,000 Facebook friends and Rose Buddies.
My 10,000 Rose Buddies Facebook friends.
So now it's time for dinner. And Nick is in a turtleneck.
Okay.
It looks very itchy.
You give me a look like, what do you think, huh? You want to fucking burn this fool? You want to tear this motherfucker apart? You just threw me like a little slab of meat. Like, he's in a turtleneck.
There's some comedy there.
You got something?
Right?
You got something? I don't have anything as a fine turtleneck.
It looked itchy.
It did look itchy. Looked like it maybe pilled.
Well, I thought maybe you had feelings about it because you don't ever wear turtlenecks.
No, because I have a beautiful fucking throat and I want people to see it. Look at that.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Nick does itch his neck at one point, so I'd
God,
say...
you were fucking watching him like a hawk, waiting for him to fail, ready for it.
Oh, wait. He scratched his neck.
It doesn't...
You scratch and itch.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't itch a scratch.
You're so ready for me to burn you and Nick right now that like you're like doing it for yourself. I don't blame you.
No,
Say
I'm
whatever.
worried about our listeners saying.
I know everybody loves you, babe.
Thank you. So Nick is talking about how good she is at darts. And this is when Raven...
That was cute, though, because he was like, you did pretty good. She was like, until the end. He was like, yeah, until the other people showed up, and then kind of stunk for a hot minute there. It's fun. It's just so fun. They talked with words, and it was good, because it's like the words I use.
It was good. So this is when Raven kind of talks about her history of relationships. And she says that she thought she was in love with her ex, but she never said it, and that he only said it when he was drunk. And Nick says, well, do you think you were in love with him? And she says, well, the way I feel about you, I never felt about him. And this is when she decides she's going to launch into kind of her big confession of feelings.
This fucking Love Actually...
Her little hand is shaking, and so Nick tries to put the wine glass down for her because her hand is shaking so much.
But then she takes it and she's like, no, I need a drink of this if I'm going to do this. On the fucking Love Actually ending monologue spectrum, this was fucking Colin Firth level.
Yeah, it was very good.
This was good shit.
She talks about how on their first one-on-one, when she was with him, she was kind of surprised because she had a really comforting feeling when she was with him. And then she starts saying that she might start crying.
And then Nick says, I might also start crying, which...
Duh.
Hair trigger, but okay.
And she said that she's never felt this before, and that her dad specifically prayed for, quote, an easy love for her.
Which I kind of laughed at, because it's like...
This isn't the easiest.
He's dating 29 other women. Like, this ain't the easiest way to do it. In fact, one might actually make a pretty good empirical evidence-based argument that it may actually be the most difficult way to do this.
And she says that, I wish I would have told you last week how I was feeling, but I decided that if you kept me, the worst thing I could do would be to not tell you. And so I have to tell you now that I do love you.
Oh, so close. The rest of it was really good.
I do love you.
I do love you. I do love you. Is there any way to make that sound convincing? And good? The rest of it was so beautiful, and I do not want to take away from the like sweet sincerity of the rest of her speech. It's just like,
I do love you.
That's maybe the worst. You understand that, right?
I think it's better.
You sound like Spock. Just like discovering like what emotion is for the first, although that would be beautiful.
And so Nick gets a little teary, and she's a little teary, and she says, like, very sincerely, she's like, I don't want you to think that I'm just saying it to say it. And he's like, no. I can tell that you're sincere.
And then he lifts up his plate of root vegetables, and what's under there?
Oh, the fantasy suite?
The boner card.
Okay. It's like root vegetables.
He had a big plate of tasty looking root vegetables that had been glazed in something.
So Raven reads the card, which talks about foregoing their individual
Do you think you can do
rooms.
the whole thing from memory right now?
Oh, God. I can't do the first part.
Raven.
What's the first part?
I hope you're enjoying your time with Nick in beautiful Finland.
Should you choose to forgo your individual rooms, you may spend
please-
the night as a couple.
Please use this key to spend a night as a couple in the fantasy suites. Love,
Chris.
your boy, forever your boy, forever a boy, Chris Harrison.
Chris
forever
Harrison.
boy.
And then like a real ass key, like a real ass old timey
fucking
key.
skeleton key.
And Raven immediately is like, two things. One, I've only been with one person. Two, my last ex never made me orgasm. Nick's like,
okay,
well.
so they showed this in no less than 2 commercial break like previews, and it's still, when it happened, it still hit me pretty fucking hard. Which I don't think, I'm not saying that to be, I definitely think, whatever, talk about it. I think it's the type of thing you shouldn't be afraid to talk about, and it is a wild thing to talk about on this like television show, I feel like. But it was, I mean, that's Raven, right? She's just honest. She's not going to hold back for anything.
Yeah, I think one of the big appeals of the fantasy suite is at some point the cameramen leave and you can have conversations that are not being filmed. So my thought, if I were in Raven's place, is I'm going to wait until the cameras leave to have this conversation. But she
It's
just
your
goes for
prerogative
it.
to say it, whatever, yeah. And Nick says, well, I wasn't expecting that. He said, what does he say?
I don't know. I was a little stunned.
Did we stop taking, is that your last note?
No, I have more notes. Well, she says like, "Oh, well, you're kind of at a loss for words," and I don't know what he said after that.
You sound taking notes.
No, I threw the pen down and I was like, done.
I was literally shriveled up. Like my appendages had retreated up. Like my legs like got sucked up into my body and my arms got pulled up to like my neck.
That's basically the end of the episode.
I basically turned into a log. Well, they walk into that fucking posh ass spot that had a glass ceiling, like a glass vaulted ceiling that you could watch the Aurora Borealis through. Which, like, boy, if you're gonna have your first orgasm from sex, like that would be a fucking pretty killer place to do it.
And then they do a teaser for next week, and they say, "Will Raven's date come to a a satisfying end?"
Yumma yumma. I hope he can come through, though.
I made the point that maybe this is a little technique that she uses with men, of saying,
It could also be very true, yes, but it could also be like,
oh, I've just never
go for the gold, dog.
no one's ever done it before, so I don't know. I mean, maybe you could. I don't know. We'll see.
You said that, and like my fucking stupid caveman brain was like, yes, probably. Time to pull out all the stops then.
And then Nick feels really good about himself, and she
Yeah.
gets, the
Here's a little thing I came up with. It's called clitoral shouting.
What was that?
Yes, you heard me. I can only say it once on the podcast, or else we'll get the NC-17 rating. And they won't.
Was the second word shouting?
Yeah, just you bellow down in there. Yabba dabba doo, you know?
Oh, I hate that.
You don't hate it. I don't. I think it's just wonderful. And I think it's wonderful, and I think we should be able to talk about these things. You're over here just like, stop talk. You're like the preacher dad in Footloose, like no talking about
Yeah, but that was
clitoral
about dancing.
Yeah.
That's a
Well, it was
little-
all a fucking, come on, the way that Ren danced, the way that Bacon danced. It was all a very thinly veiled metaphor for lovemaking. Even way more thinly veiled than Dirty Dancing. Like way more thinly veiled. You know? So we should be able to have these open and honest conversations. You know? We should all be having orgasms each time, every time. 100% of the time, no matter what. And I just hope Nick can, like, follow through. This was just kind of a weird ending to an episode of television, though.
Nick does say that he may not have
Yes.
intercourse with the women.
Yes, he's still leaving that option on the table. It's still buck wild at the end of this television show on ABC, before the first part of When We Rise, which looks pretty good. I wonder if it's any good. Is this woman going to get got off by this famous
And now
nerd?
we're going to spend all week wondering if she gets hers.
Did she get that nut? I don't know. One can dream, one can hope. Fingers crossed. But the next episode of The Bachelor certainly is not going to start with like boom 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 boom, and the fucking like sun rises over the Finnish hills, and she says, "I did get that nut." And he's like, "It's true, she got that nut."
I don't like you. That
Which
doesn't
one?
work.
The which word? It's just fun to say.
Sploosh.
Gross. That's awful, though. No, it's beautiful. Sex positive.
Did she get that sploosh?
Did you get that sploosh? I did get that sploosh. It's true. I shouted real good right at it. And we encountered a bear in the woods.
Hi ho. That's what it sounds like
It's true.
when you do the shouting.
There's a whole Mambo number 5. You know what I mean? Yabba dabba doo.
A lot of cultural references
That's it.
in this.
I get bored down there. I just start shouting my favorite TV stuff at it. We have to go back. Lost ending season 4. Crazy. This is Nick, by the way.
Oh, is he still wearing the turtleneck?
I always wear the turtleneck when I do my things down there. It's like a nasty bib.
What is this voice?
Nick's sex voice.
I hate it.
You wouldn't in the right circumstances.
It's awful.
Okay. He basically turns into Tom Waits. Like, the full moon comes out, he gets under those blankets, and they put us out up in our town, you know? He just, like, gets wild.
I would love it if, flash forward, instead of bathrobes, they're both wearing that turtleneck sweater.
They both climbed inside the one turtleneck sweater, or,
yeah.
the turtleneck sweater has, like, cellularly divided, and now there's 2 of them.
No, they're both in the same sweater.
Okay. She had such
One
a powerful
arm-
orgasm
one
that
arm out either.
a sweater grew around her.
That's his sex sweater.
We've been talking about fucking dirt for like 4 minutes now.
Should we thank people for gifts that we received?
I think we should.
We received we went to the P.O. box for the first time in a few weeks, and we had a lot of exciting gifts.
Oh, fucking, okay, so we got Alexis's shark costume.
Yeah.
Because on a very, very old episode of My Brother and Me, we were sponsored by a company called Root Suit, which makes, like, fun costume suits. And they made the costume that Alexis wore, her dolphin outfit, in the premiere episode of the season.
Yes,
So
they mailed it
we
to
just
us.
have that. We just have a shark outfit. Thank you, Root Suit. That kicks ass.
What about the Girl Scout cookies?
Oh my god! So Michaela Godfrey hooked us up with hooked me up with a huge box of Girl Scout treats, including things that I did not even know the Girl Scouts were making, like little peanut butter bears and
and like
chocolate trail
chocolate-covered
mix.
raisins and stuff.
Rachel cannot eat dairy or soy right now because of the baby, but your boy can. So thank you, Michaela.
Well, and it's been good treats for our friends.
Yeah, but mostly me. And that's it. We got a lot of a lot of stuff for all these
nice
shows.
letters and
Very, very
and
sweet letters.
save the dates, and thank you so much.
We won't probably be attending most of the weddings. Just send them. It's sweet. It's very cute, but like we are not traveling very much these days.
No,
But
we have very, very close friends that are getting married in the fall, and we're already having conversations about how we're gonna
get out of it.
how we're. No, Griffin.
Anyway, thank you all so much for listening to Rose Buddies. Hey, we did actually go pretty long on this one.
Oh, another announcement. I don't know if you saw. Nick is going to be on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, who gives a shit? I'm sorry.
Just thought I would share.
Okay.
That's what he's doing after The Bachelor. Now Vanessa can ask that question, and he can say, "I'm going to be dancing."
With the stars.
With
a lot of
the
people took that
stars.
to mean that he was not going to get engaged. Although Sean was on Doots, right?
So was Chris Soules.
It was Chris Soules, although that didn't really turn out
Well, yeah,
so
his
good.
engagement ended right after the show.
Yeah. I can't believe Rachel's still on the show. I love Rachel. It's just like, come on. Like, we know she's not going to... We're pretty sure she's not going to win. Like, I'm kind of in disbelief. Although, really, I think it was Korn's time to punch out. I'll be curious to see where they go. Not so curious that I will want to watch 3 hours of this next week. I am dreading this.
1 hour is going to be show. 2 hours is Women Tell All.
Oh, even worse.
I know. I know. Women Tell All, it can be
And Women
a lot.
Tell All, they were like, Korn versus Taylor, round 2.
I know. Nobody wants to see
Nobody
round 2.
fucking wants that on Earth. Nobody on Earth wants that.
No.
On the planet Earth, there's 2 ABC producers apparently who want that. It's a bad thing you're doing here. What are you looking at now? You're always looking at parts of my body.
I wanted to see what you were drinking.
Oh, it's a Dogfish Head, like a
Another IPA.
Flesh and Blood IPA. It's like a grapefruit IPA thing. It's
that's
good.
fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Griddlebone.
Huh?
Thanks, Griddlebone.
You got it.
It's been Griddlebone's Beer Corner.
It's been Griddlebone's Beer Corner telling you about all the freshest hops and barleys. Can we go?
Yes.
This has been the Bachelorette. No! It hasn't even been the Bachelorette. It hasn't been the Bachelor.
No,
It's been
that's
a Rose
not how we
Bunnies.
do it.
How do we do it, man?
I'm Rachel McElroy.
I'm Griffin McElroy.
When you're ready.
Final rose. Stay with us on this journey of joy.
Spoiler alert!
She ends up with Soldier Boy.
Right reasons, right reasons. Can't get a girl for all four seasons.
My name is Patrick.
My name is Parker,
Max FunCon has been a huge inspiration in my life.
and now I have this network of friends that I've made that span literally across the entire globe, and they're some of my favorite people in the world.
I truly cannot believe the amount of wonderful and lasting friendships that have come out of this.
If you feel like you might not fit in, as long as you're a good person, you'll fit in because everyone there is good and amazing and kind and wonderful, and you should absolutely go. It will be the best decision of your life.
Make a ton of new friends like Parker and Patrick at Max FunCon. Tickets for Max FunCon and Max FunCon East are on sale now at maxfuncon.com.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture. Artist owned.
Listener supported.